The crystal wine glasses clinked as my mother raised her hand, demanding attention from everyone at our lavishly decorated Christmas dinner table. I already knew what was coming. It was as predictable as the artificial pine garland wrapped around the banister and the judgment wrapped around every compliment my family gave me. I'm Giselle, and at 31, I've learned that family traditions aren't always wrapped in love. Before we dig into this beautiful meal, my mother Emerson announced, her voice dripping with rehearsed warmth, Joey has some exciting news to share. My younger brother straightened his designer collar and flashed that $1,000,000 smile that had gotten him out of trouble since kindergarten. Well, I've been working on something revolutionary, a crypto-based real estate platform that's going to change the game completely. I took a long sip of wine, avoiding eye contact with Wendy across the table. My best friend had insisted on coming this year, claiming she didn't want to leave me unprotected. I'd laughed it off then, but now I was grateful for her presence. The thing is, Joey continued, we need some initial capital, just to get things rolling. How much? My father Trent asked, cutting into his turkey with surgical precision. About 50,000. I nearly choked on my wine. Bethany, Joey's girlfriend, squeezed his hand supportively, but I caught the slight tightening around her eyes. Well, my mother said, turning to me with that familiar, expectant smile. Giselle's business has been doing so well lately. And there it was, the real reason I'd been invited. No, I said quietly, placing my fork down. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the Christmas music playing softly in the background seemed to hold its breath. What do you mean, no? My father's voice had that dangerous edge to it. I mean no, I'm not investing in another one of Joey's ventures. After everything we've done for you? My mother's voice cracked with manufactured hurt. This is how you repay us? Everything you've done for me? I couldn't help but laugh. Like when I bought this house, or the lake house, or paid off Joey's last 3 failed businesses. You're being dramatic, Joey cut in. Those were investments in family. Family. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Is that what you call it when you borrowed 30,000 last spring and never mentioned it again? Giselle, my mother hissed. You're making a scene. You've always been such a disappointment, my father added, shaking his head. So focused on money, so cold. Wendy started to speak up, but I touched her arm gently. It's fine, I said, picking up my plate. I'll help clean up. In the kitchen, I could hear them continuing their meal, their voices dropping to conspiratorial whispers. The lake house I'd bought 3 years ago with my savings from a major design contract floated through my mind. I'd added my parents' names to the deed because I thought it would finally be enough, that they'd finally see me as more than their personal ATM. You okay? Wendy appeared beside me, holding a stack of plates. Perfect, I replied, pulling out my phone. Just need to make a quick call. She raised an eyebrow as I scrolled through my contacts and found Andrew's number. My old college friend had become one of the city's most respected property lawyers. Andrew, sorry to bother you on Christmas, I said quietly, moving toward the window where snow was falling softly. Remember that conversation we had about the lake house deed? I think it's time we revisited that. From the dining room, I could hear Joey launching into another explanation of his brilliant business plan. My mother's laughter floated through the air like poisoned honey. Yes, I continued into the phone, watching the snow blanket everything in clean, pure white. I want to start the process immediately. When I hung up, Wendy was still watching me, concern etched across her face. "You're planning something," she said. It wasn't a question. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. "Let's just say I'm done being the family disappointment. It's time they learned what real disappointment feels like." Through the kitchen doorway, I could see my family gathered around the table, already planning how to spend money they didn't have, money they assumed I would give them. They had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best Christmas gifts are the ones you give yourself, and this year I was giving myself something priceless. Freedom. "It's called the financial coercion clause," Andrew said, sliding the document across his mahogany desk. "Since you can prove a pattern of financial exploitation, we can reverse the co-ownership agreement." I stared at the papers, my coffee growing cold beside me. The morning sun filtered through his office windows, casting long shadows across the legal jargon that could change everything. "And it's completely legal. More than legal." He leaned forward, his expression serious. "Giselle, I've seen the transfer records you sent me. Over $200,000 in loans to your family in the past 5 years alone. None of it documented properly. None of it repaid." My phone buzzed. Another text from Joey. "Hey sis, can we talk about that investment? Mom and Dad think it's a sure thing." I turned the phone face down. "What about the money they borrowed for their anniversary cruise last summer?" I asked Andrew. He pulled up a spreadsheet on his laptop. 35,000. They claimed it was a loan, but the emails show they called it your gift to them in family conversations, because that's how they always frame it," I said, my voice tight. "Every time I say no, they remind me how much they sacrificed for me, how love means supporting family unconditionally." "That's not love." Wendy's voice came from the doorway. She'd insisted on coming with me to the meeting. "That's manipulation." Andrew nodded. "Your friend's right, and this clause exists specifically to protect people in situations like yours." I picked up the pen, its weight feeling suddenly significant. "What happens after I sign?" "The lake house reverts to your sole ownership. They'll have no legal claim to it anymore." My hand hovered over the signature line as memories flooded back. Mom's voice. "If you really loved us, you wouldn't hesitate." Dad's stern lectures about family duty. Joey's practiced puppy dog eyes every time he needed just a little help. "Do it," Wendy said softly. "Stop setting yourself on fire to keep them warm." The pen scratched across paper, my signature more confident than I felt. "I'll file these today," Andrew said, gathering the documents. "Give it about 2 weeks to process." As we left his office, my phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. "Planning the annual summer bash at the lake house, June 15th. Make sure you block it off." Wendy peered over my shoulder at the message. "They have no idea, do they?" "They never do," I replied, stepping into the elevator. "They're too busy planning how to use the house to notice they're about to lose it." Later that evening, over wine at Wendy's apartment, I scrolled through years of text messages and emails, each one a small cut, bleeding me dry of money and self-worth. "Look at this one." I showed Wendy my phone. "From last Easter. Since you're not married or have kids to spend money on, surely you can help your brother out." Wendy took the phone, her expression darkening. "And this one from your dad. Your sacrifices are proof of your love for this family. God, they really did a number on you." "The worst part?" I took back my phone. I believed them. Every time they called me selfish for saying no, I doubled down on saying yes, as if I could earn their love through my bank account. And Joey? Joey's the golden child. He fails upward because they've convinced him he deserves to, and I'm the ATM that makes it possible. My phone lit up with another message, this time from my cousin Laurel. Heard about the summer party plans. Mom says Aunt Emerson's going all out this year, renting boats, hiring caterers. I showed Wendy the message, and she burst out laughing. They're planning a party at a house they won't own anymore. Karma has a sense of humor, I said, but my smile faded quickly. You know what scares me most? Not their anger when they find out. It's that small part of me that still feels guilty for standing up for myself. Wendy refilled our glasses. That guilt? That's their voice in your head, not yours. I know, I said, watching the city lights twinkle outside her window. But after 31 years of being the responsible one, the fixer, the human safety net, it's hard to believe I don't owe them everything. You don't owe them anything, Wendy said firmly, and in 2 weeks you'll have proof of that in writing. My phone buzzed one final time, a confirmation email from Andrew. Documents filed, transfer process initiated. I turned off my phone and raised my glass. To writing my own story. Wendy clinked her glass against mine. To finally being the disappointment they always feared you'd become. We laughed, but beneath the humor lay a truth I was just beginning to understand. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop loving others the way they demand to be loved. The first call came at 8:43 a.m. on a Tuesday. I watched my mother's name flash across my phone screen as I sipped my morning coffee, working on a client's website design. Giselle, something's wrong with the lake house booking system, she said without preamble. It keeps saying access denied. I took another sip of coffee. That's strange. Have you tried logging in again? 3 times. I need to finalize the catering contracts for the summer party. Can you check on your end? I'm pretty busy with work right now, Mom. Maybe try again later. She huffed. This is important, Giselle. Family comes before work. I ended the call promising to look into it, knowing full well what she'd find. By afternoon, my phone was lighting up with texts from Joey. Hey sis, weird thing with the lake house. Mom's freaking out. Can you call her? Seriously, what's going on? Just check the property records online. We need to talk. Now! I muted the conversation and focused on my work. At 3:15, my father's name appeared on my caller ID. Family meeting, tonight, 7 p.m. Your mother's beside herself. I have a client deadline. This isn't a request, Giselle. I glanced at the manila folder on my desk, filled with every email, bank transfer, and guilt-laden text message from the past 5 years. Fine. I'll be there. Wendy's voice was steady when I called her. Want me to come with you? No, I said, gathering the folder. This is something I need to do alone. I arrived at my parents' house at 6:57 p.m. Joey's Tesla was already in the driveway, along with Bethany's more modest Honda. Inside, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. My mother sat rigid at the dining room table, a stack of papers in front of her. Joey paced by the window, while Bethany perched nervously on the edge of her chair. My father stood behind my mother, hands gripping the back of her chair. Sit! He commanded. I took my time, placing my folder on the table before taking a seat. What's this about? My mother's hand slammed down on the papers. How dare you steal from your own blood? Steal? I raised an eyebrow. Interesting choice of words. The lake house, Joey interrupted, stopping his pacing. You removed Mom and Dad's names from the deed. How could you? Legally. Quite easily, actually. This isn't funny, my father growled. That house belongs to this family. No, I said calmly, opening my folder. That house belongs to me. I paid for it. Every penny. The only reason your names were on the deed was because I put them there, a mistake I've now corrected. We're your parents. My mother's voice cracked. Everything we have is shared. Really? I pulled out the first document. Like when you shared the truth about taking money from my college fund to pay for Joey's rehab. The room went deadly quiet. Bethany's eyes widened, darting between Joey and me. That's different, my mother whispered. Or how about these? I laid out bank statements. Every loan Joey never repaid. Every investment that disappeared. Every family emergency that somehow always involved my checkbook. You're twisting things, Joey protested. Family helps family. Funny how that help only flows in one direction. I turned to Bethany. Did he tell you about the $40,000 he borrowed from me last year, right before he bought your anniversary gift? Bethany's face went pale. The diamond bracelet was bought with my money, like everything else. Enough! My father roared. You ungrateful— No, I cut him off, standing slowly. I've been grateful enough, responsible enough, the perfect daughter who always says yes, who never complains, who funds everyone's dreams but her own. I'm done. You can't do this, my mother pleaded. The summer party is cancelled, along with every other plan you made with my property. Joey stepped forward. We'll fight this legally, I smiled, pulling out the final document. Please do. I'm sure the court would love to see evidence of financial coercion and emotional manipulation. I have years of it documented. Get out! My father's voice was ice. Get out of this house. Gladly. I gathered my folder. Oh, and Joey? The code to the lake house has been changed. Don't bother trying to break in. The security system is new too. I walked to the door, pausing only briefly. You know what's funny? You spent so many years calling me a disappointment, but I think I'm finally becoming the daughter you deserve. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. In my car, I took a deep breath, hands shaking slightly as I started the engine. My phone buzzed, a text from Laurel. Just heard what happened. Call me, there's more you need to know. Sometimes burning bridges lights the way forward, and as I drove away from my parents' house, the flames had never burned brighter. I met Laurel at a quiet coffee shop downtown, away from the family's usual haunts. My cousin's face was drawn with worry as she stirred her latte, avoiding my eyes. You're not going to like what I have to tell you, she said finally. After last night, I doubt anything could surprise me. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages. Aunt Emerson called my mom last night. They're planning to contest the lake house transfer, but that's not the worst part. Of course it isn't. I sighed. What else? Joey and Bethany? That engagement they've been hinting at? Laurel leaned forward. It's not real. Well, it is, but not for the reasons you think. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. What do you mean? I overheard Joey telling Bethany that once they're married, they can combine accounts. Something about using her good credit score to secure loans. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed, and we both looked up to see Bethany herself walking in. When she spotted us, she hesitated before squaring her shoulders and approaching our table. Can I join you? Laurel and I exchanged glances. I nodded. I left Joey, Bethany said without preamble, sliding into the empty chair. After what you revealed last night, I started digging. Found some concerning things. Like what? She pulled out a folded paper from her purse. Like this loan application. Joey forged my signature as a co-signer. He was going to surprise me with it after the engagement announcement at the summer party. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. How much? 200,000 for his crypto real estate thing. Bethany's voice cracked. He said it was just a formality, that his sister would bail us out if anything went wrong. Jesus, Laurel muttered. I'm so sorry, Giselle, Bethany continued. I knew they'd took advantage of you, but I didn't realize how deep it went, how calculated it was. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Your father is having chest pains from the stress you've caused. I hope you're happy. I showed the message to Laurel and Bethany. Classic Aunt Emerson, Laurel scoffed. When guilt doesn't work, try medical emergencies. You know what's sad? I said, putting my phone away. 10 years ago, I would have rushed over there with my checkbook. The coffee shop door chimed again. This time, Joey walked in. Bethany, he called out, striding toward our table. Baby, why aren't you answering my calls? We need to talk about... He stopped short when he saw me. About what, Joey? Bethany's voice was steel. About the loan application you forged? Or about using my credit score to fix your mess? That's not... I can explain. Save it, I cut in. We all know how this goes. You explain, you charm, you promise it'll be different this time, but it never is it? You don't understand. He ran his hands through his hair, his designer watch catching the light. This business is different. It's guaranteed returns. If you'd just listen, like we listened about the food truck venture, Laurel interrupted, or the NFT gallery, or the cryptocurrency mining operation. That's not fair, he protested. Those were learning experiences. No. I stood up slowly. Those were expensive lessons that I paid for, but class is dismissed, Joey. I'm done being your safety net. You're my sister. His voice cracked with practiced emotion. We're family. Family doesn't exploit family, Bethany said quietly. And we're done being exploited. Joey's charm cracked, revealing something uglier beneath. You think you're so perfect, don't you, Giselle? The responsible one? The successful one? You're nothing without this family. Actually, I gathered my things. I'm everything I am in spite of this family. And that's what really bothers you, isn't it? Mom and Dad were right. He spat. You are a disappointment. Laurel stood up beside me. No, Joey. You're the disappointment. You just had everyone too fooled to notice. We left him standing there, his perfectly crafted world crumbling around him. Outside, Bethany turned to me. I need to tell you something else, she said. Joey. He's been talking to lawyers, looking for ways to claim emotional damages. He thinks if he can prove you promised to support his businesses, he might have a case. I laughed, surprising all of us. Let him try. Andrew has every manipulative text, every guilt trip email, every forced loan documented. I've been building this case for years without even knowing it. What now? Laurel asked. Now? I looked at my phone, another message from my mother lighting up the screen. Now we watch them learn what happens when their ATM grows a spine. Bethany nodded slowly. Mind if I watch with you? I think I need to learn that lesson too. Sometimes the truth hits harder than any revenge could. And as we walked away from the coffee shop, I realized that maybe the best revenge wasn't taking back the lake house. It was taking back my life. The Easter gathering at my aunt's house felt like walking into a hornet's nest. Conversations stopped when I entered rooms, replaced by pointed whispers and sidelong glances. My mother had been busy. I heard she's having some kind of breakdown. I overheard my aunt telling another relative. Emerson says she's been acting erratic, obsessed with money. I was filling my plate with deviled eggs when my phone buzzed, a notification from my security system. Someone was attempting to access the lake house. The camera feed showed Joey's Tesla in the driveway. Trouble? Wendy asked, appearing beside me with a glass of wine. Joey's at the lake house. I showed her the feed. Want to take a drive? We made our excuses and left, ignoring my mother's theatrical sigh about family obligations. The drive to the lake house took 40 minutes. Joey's car was still there when we pulled up. Stay in the car, I told Wendy. Just in case. I found Joey sitting on the front steps, head in his hands. When he looked up, his designer clothes couldn't hide the desperation in his eyes. The code didn't work, he said flatly. That's generally what happens when you're not welcome somewhere. He stood up, swaying slightly. I need a place to stay. What happened to your apartment? Bethany. He swallowed hard. She told the landlord about the forged documents. They're terminating our lease. And I'm $40,000 in debt from the NFT investment. The crypto real estate platform crashed before it launched. I just need somewhere to recenter. I walked past him to unlock the door, leaving it open as I stepped inside. The house smelled of pine and lake water, peaceful in the afternoon light. Joey followed me in like a lost puppy. Remember when we were kids? He asked, running his hand along the wall. Dad teaching us to fish off the dock. You mean the dock I paid to have rebuilt 3 years ago, after you crashed your jet ski into it? He flinched. Why are you being like this? Like what? Honest, cold, calculating. This isn't you, Giselle. I walked to my office, opened the bottom drawer, and pulled out a thick folder. You're right. This isn't me. This is you. I handed him the folder. Inside were bank statements, transfer receipts, and screenshots of text messages spanning the last decade. What is this? Every dollar you've borrowed, every promise you've broken, every time you used me as your personal bailout fund. I pointed to the total at the bottom. $77,000, Joey. That's what being your sister has cost me. He leafed through the papers, his hands shaking. I was going to pay you back. No, you weren't. You were going to keep taking until there was nothing left to take, just like Mom and Dad taught you. They love us. They love you, I corrected. They tolerate me as long as I'm useful. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then quickly looked away. Mom? I guessed. Asking where you are? He nodded. Tell her you're at the lake house. Tell her everything's fine. I walked to the window, looking out at the water. Then pack whatever's in your car and leave. The security system activates in an hour. Giselle, please. The folder's yours. I cut him off. Consider it a receipt for services rendered. We're even now. Even? He laughed bitterly. You think this makes us even? You destroyed our family. No, Joey. Our family destroyed itself. I just stopped funding the demolition. Wendy knocked on the doorframe. "Everything okay in here?" Joey looked between us, realization dawning. "You brought backup? Afraid of your own brother?" "No," I said quietly. Just done being afraid of disappointing everyone. He stuffed the folder under his arm and headed for the door, pausing at the threshold. "You'll regret this, when you're alone and need family." "I have family," I gestured to Wendy. "Real family, the kind that doesn't come with a price tag." After he left, Wendy and I sat on the dock, watching the sun set over the lake. My phone lit up with messages from relatives, each one more dramatically concerned about my mental state than the last. "Your mom's really working the gossip circuit," Wendy observed. "Let her. She can't control the narrative if she can't control me anymore." A final text came through, this one from Laurel. "Just heard about Joey showing up at the lake house. You okay?" I looked at the peaceful water, at my best friend beside me, at the house that was finally, truly mine. "Better than okay," I typed back. "I'm free. Sometimes the hardest part isn't standing up for yourself. It's staying standing when everyone expects you to fall." But as the sky turned purple over the lake, I knew I'd never kneel for their approval again. The voicemail came at midnight, my mother's voice slurred with what I assumed was her third glass of wine. "We should never have let a girl have so much power," she said. "Your father and I, we gave you too much freedom. Look what you've done with it. Look how you've hurt this family." I played it for Laurel over lunch the next day. She pushed her salad around, avoiding my eyes. "There's something you need to know," she said finally, "about your college fund." "What about it?" "Remember how you chose the state school instead of NYU? How your mom told everyone it was because you wanted something simpler?" My fork froze halfway to my mouth. "Yeah, she lied. The money was gone. She took it for Joey's first rehab stint, the one they told everyone was a wellness retreat in Arizona." The restaurant around us faded to white noise. "How do you know this?" "My mom was there when Aunt Emerson made the transfer. She helped cover it up, said it was for the greater good of the family." My phone buzzed. Wendy calling. I answered on speaker. "You need to see this," she said. "Joey's posted something on Facebook. Well, just look." I pulled up the post, a childhood photo of Joey and me, fishing off the dock at the lake house. The caption read, "Family is supposed to be forever. Sad when money changes people. Pray for my sister. Mental health awareness. He's trying to control the narrative," Laurel said, reading over my shoulder. "Make you look unstable." "No," I corrected. "He's trying to make me feel unstable. There's a difference." My phone lit up with another call. "Andrew, your brother's lawyer reached out," he said when I answered. "They're floating the idea of an emotional distress lawsuit, something about promised support and family obligations." I laughed, surprising myself and everyone at the table. "Let them try. That's just it," Andrew continued. "I don't think they will. Your documentation is too thorough. Every manipulation, every guilt trip, every forced transaction, it's all there. They'd be opening themselves up to a countersuit for financial abuse." After hanging up, I stared at the childhood photo Joey had posted. 2 kids smiling at the camera, no idea what lay ahead. "You know what the worst part is?" I said to Laurel. I actually believed them. Every time they said family first, I thought they meant all of us, not just Joey. Speaking of Joey, Laurel pulled out her phone. "Did you see what Bethany posted?" A new post appeared. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from toxic people, even if they're family. Starting over. No more lies. Good for her, I murmured. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from my father this time. You turned your back on family. His voice was cold, controlled. Everything we did was for you, kids. Everything. And this is how you repay us? Laurel reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You okay? Actually, yes. I saved the voicemail to my growing collection of evidence. For the first time, I can see them clearly. All the manipulation, all the guilt, all the conditional love. It's so obvious now. What changed? I did. Or maybe I just stopped believing their version of me, Wendy called back. Your mom's calling everyone in her contact list, telling them you're having some kind of breakdown, that they're worried about you. Let them worry, I said, surprising myself with how little it hurt. They taught me everything I know about power moves. Funny how they don't like being on the receiving end. Giselle, Laurel said suddenly, remember when you won that National Design Award last year? Yeah, they didn't come to the ceremony. Said they had to help Joey move into his new apartment. The apartment he just got evicted from, I added. Exactly. They've never celebrated your success because it threatens their control. A successful daughter doesn't need their approval. My phone lit up with another notification, an email from Joey's crypto platform investors asking about their missing funds. Forward that to Andrew, Wendy advised. Add it to the file. I did. Then turned off my phone. The restaurant hummed around us. Normal people having normal lunches, untouched by family drama. You know what? I said, picking up my fork again. I think I'm done being the family historian. Done documenting every hurt, every manipulation, every lie. They can keep their narrative. I'm writing my own story now. Laurel raised her water glass. 2 new chapters. 2 chosen family, Wendy added. I looked at these 2 women who loved me without conditions and supported me without price tags and felt something shift inside me. The guilt was still there. A lifetime of conditioning doesn't disappear overnight, but it was lighter now. Manageable. Sometimes the strongest words in any story are the ones left unspoken. And as I raised my glass to join their toast, I finally understood that my silence had always been my greatest power. The first booking request for the lake house came from a family in Seattle. 3 kids, parents celebrating their 20th anniversary. Their application was perfect, their deposit substantial. I approved it without hesitation. You're really doing this? Wendy asked as we updated the property listing. Renting it to strangers. Why not? Better than letting it sit empty while my family plots their revenge. As if on cue, my father's truck appeared in the security camera feed, pulling into the driveway. I sighed, grabbing my keys. Want backup? Wendy offered. No, this conversation is long overdue. I found him inspecting the dock, running his hands along the wooden railings like he was checking for flaws. He didn't turn when I approached. I built this dock, he said flatly. No, you didn't. I paid Martinez Construction to rebuild it after Joey crashed into it. You just supervised and complained about their work. I designed it. Also, no, I have the architectural plans in my files. Would you like to see them? He turned then, his face red with anger. This is my legacy, my family's summer home. Your legacy. I laughed. Dad, your construction business went bankrupt when I was 13. Every improvement to this house, every repair, every upgrade, it all came from my account. Your legacy is taking credit for other people's work. How dare you? No, how dare you? You show up here unannounced, trying to claim ownership of things you never earned. He stepped closer, trying to use his height to intimidate me like he did when I was young. I am your father. Biology isn't a blank check, Dad. Neither is guilt. My phone buzzed. Another booking request. This one for a corporate retreat in August. You're renting it out? He grabbed my phone, staring at the notification. To strangers? Paying customers, I corrected, taking my phone back. Unlike family, they actually respect property they don't own. This house belongs to all of us. Your mother and I, my mother and you, what? Contributed nothing but expectations? Showed up for free vacations and acted like you deserved them? He reached for something in his truck, pulling out a folder. I have proof of my contributions. Labor costs, materials. From 15 years ago, before the bankruptcy, before you started using me as your personal bank. We're family, he said, as if those 2 words explained everything. Not anymore. I pulled out my own folder. This is my will. I had it drawn up last week. Want to know what it says? His face paled. Giselle. The lake house goes to a trust, one that specifically excludes you, Mom, and Joey. Laurel gets to manage it. Any rental income goes to a scholarship fund for students whose parents stole their college money. You wouldn't. I already did. Want to know the best part? It's ironclad. Even if something happens to me, you can't touch it. He crumpled the folder in his hands. You turned your back on family. Funny, that's exactly what you did to me. Every time you chose Joey, every time you took my money, every time you called me a disappointment for having boundaries. A notification pinged. The Seattle family had sent their signed rental agreement. I'm calling my lawyer, he threatened. Great. Call Andrew. He'd love to discuss the financial abuse documentation we've compiled. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I gestured to his truck. The security system activates in 5 minutes. I'd hate to have to call the police about trespassing. He threw the crumpled folder at my feet. Your mother was right. We gave you too much power. No, Dad. You gave me too much practice at being strong. Did you really think I wouldn't learn from watching you manipulate everyone around you? As his truck roared away, I picked up the folder he'd thrown. Inside were old receipts, handwritten notes about dock materials, sketches of improvements he'd planned but never executed, a paper trail of promises he couldn't keep. My phone rang. Laurel. Joey's telling everyone he's going to sue you for emotional damages, she said without preamble. Let him try. The discovery process would be fascinating. You don't sound worried. I'm not. They taught me everything I know about power plays, including how to document everything. I looked out over the lake, watching the sunset paint the water gold. Another booking notification popped up, a wedding party for September. You know what's funny? I told Laurel. They keep saying I turned my back on family, but I'm just following their example. They taught me that love is transactional, that family means taking what you want. I'm just better at it than they expected. The security system activated with a soft beep, protecting the house from unwanted visitors, just like I was finally protecting myself from unwanted guilt. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's success on your own terms. And as I approved another booking request, I realized I'd never felt more successful in my life. The news about Joey broke during Thanksgiving week. I was reviewing rental agreements for the lake house when Laurel's call came through. Turn on the local news. she said breathlessly. Channel 5. There was my brother, being led out of his office in handcuffs. The headline scrolled beneath, Local entrepreneur arrested for investment fraud. Wendy arrived 20 minutes later with wine and takeout. You okay? Surprisingly, yes. I muted the TV as they replayed the footage. It was bound to happen eventually. My phone lit up with messages from relatives, each one more accusatory than the last. The family narrative had shifted. Somehow, this was all my fault. If I'd just helped with his business, if I'd been a better sister, if I'd just given him one more chance. They're still trying to make you responsible for his choices, Wendy observed. Old habits die hard. A text from Bethany appeared. Thank you for showing me what strength looks like. The doorbell rang. Laurel stood there with bags of groceries. I figured you shouldn't be alone tonight. I'm not alone, I said, letting her in. I haven't been alone since I stopped trying to buy my family's love. We cooked together, the kitchen filling with actual warmth instead of the artificial kind my mother used to manufacture at family gatherings. No guilt, no manipulation, no price tags on affection. My mother's call came during dessert. I put it on speaker. Your brother needs bail money, she said without greeting. 50,000. No. Giselle, please. He's facing real charges. The investors are pressing fraud charges. He could go to prison. Sounds like consequences. How can you be so cold? He's your brother. And you're my mother, but that didn't stop you from stealing my college fund. Silence crackled over the line. Who told you? Does it matter? What matters is you did it. Just like you've taken everything else. My savings, my trust, my belief in family. We did everything for you kids. No, you did everything for Joey. I was just the ATM that made it possible. Another call beeped through. My father. Don't you dare hang up, he barked when I answered. Your brother. My brother committed fraud, just like he's been doing to me for years. The only difference is his other victims pressed charges. We'll lose everything, my mother whispered. No, you'll lose what you never earned in the first place. There's a difference. I ended the call, turning to find Wendy and Laurel watching me with proud smiles. You didn't even hesitate, Laurel said. Nothing left to hesitate about. My phone buzzed with an email, the Seattle family sending photos from their summer stay at the lake house. Happy kids jumping off the dock, parents celebrating their anniversary under the stars. Real joy, not the performative kind my family specialized in. Look at this. I showed them the photos. The house is finally being used for what it was meant for, making memories, not holding people hostage. Speaking of memories, Wendy pulled out a small wrapped package. Early Christmas present. Inside was a framed photo of the three of us at the lake house, taken during a weekend getaway last month. No forced smiles, no hidden agendas, just genuine happiness. This is what family looks like, Laurel said softly, not what they taught you it was. My phone lit up again, Andrew calling. Joey's investors want to know if you'll testify, he said, about the pattern of financial manipulation. I looked at the women in my kitchen, at the genuine love that filled my home, at the life I'd built after breaking free. Send them my files, I said. All of them. It's time everyone saw the truth. After hanging up, I blocked my parents' numbers, not out of anger, but because I finally understood. Their power only existed if I kept picking up the phone. You know what's funny? I said, pouring more wine. They always said I was a disappointment, But I think I finally became the daughter they deserved. Someone who learned their lessons about power and control too well. To disappointing daughters, Wendy raised her glass. To chosen family, Laurel added. To freedom, I finished. Outside, snow began to fall, covering everything in clean, pure white. December had always been a battlefield in my family, a time of obligations and emotional warfare disguised as tradition. But this December was different. This December, I was free. And as I sat with my real family, the one I chose, the one that chose me back, I realized that sometimes the happiest endings don't come from fixing what's broken, but from building something new from the pieces. The lake house would host another family for Christmas this year, and for the first time in my life, December felt anything but cold.